What up? It's your buddy Incredible Man, and I'm back at it again. And this is my discussion/review of Vinland Saga episode 5. And it was glorious, man. It was glorious. There was not a lot of action or anything, but I was still so heavily interested in everything that was going on, every single frame by frame that happened in this episode. Before I talk about the actual episode, let's talk about the foliage and all of everything in the forest, okay? Because just like I said in my Kimetsu no Yaiba review, the water in Kimetsu no Yaiba was just fantastic. But the forest, I'm pointing like it's over here, the forest in Vinland Saga was just beautiful, man. All of the fall leaves and the greens and the oranges, the orange colors and the reds and everything, all of the colors, the browns, the tans, every color that went into making the forest itself was just beautiful, man. And you knew the animation was always, it was great ever since episode 1, but you have to give them props, man, for the forest itself just looked fantastic. It made you feel like you were in a forest. That's how great and fantastic the forest was itself. But let's talk about the episode, man, because it gets fantastic. It picks up right after last week's episode. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week's episode, and we see Thorfinn on the ship still, and they show the other guys that was ambushing his father. They were just having a good time, like drinking wine and, well, yeah, I think it was wine, and they were just having a good time. And then they shoot and show Thorfinn, and he's on the back end of the boat, starving, almost dehydrated, skin's almost dried out, and he's super thirsty. And they show a shot of him drinking and leaning up to drink salt water. And as you know, you can't drink salt water like that because it's high in salt content, and it does nothing for the body, and it's pure disgusting. But and then, like, that's what I love about this anime, man. It even showed that fact. Like, he didn't just drink the salt water and was like, ugh. No, he took a sip of the salt water and, like, he almost gagged and threw up. That kind of detail goes to show you how wonderful this anime is, man. And then we see some other members of the crew, and it's like, what are we gonna do, and where we how long until we get there to where we meet the people that's gonna pay us our money. And I want to say his name is Askeladd or something like that. I feel like I butchered it, but it's along that genre right there, the Ask something. But anyway, we're gonna call him the leader of the bandits right now. He's like, we're almost there, and then they shoot and just show Thorfinn still. You could just see how bad off he is, man. Like his skin looks really pale. He's got bags under his eyes. He looks thin. His skin looks dried out. His lips look cracked and chapped and stuff. A lot of stuff like that gets bypassed in certain other anime, but it shows in this anime, man, and that's absolute greatness. Then we get to them coming upon a place to rest their ships, like a bay or a dock or something, and they just left their ships there. And then they go into the forest, and then next thing you know, Thorfinn sees that they're leaving, and he gets off the boat, and then he goes into the woods to try to follow them. And he climbing up a hill, and he slips on some moss and falls. And the moss looked perfect. I love the forest. The forest was absolutely perfect, and that's probably one of the greatest things about this episode to me. The forest looked fantastic. Then he falls and he knocks himself out. He hits a tree and he knocks himself out. Sorry about the train. And then when he wakes up, he comes through. He hears screaming and he sees fire off in the distance. And now this, I knew Vikings were, I knew they'd done some stuff, man. I knew they'd done some stuff. Like, I'm not up on my Viking history, to like know any specifics or anything, but I knew that they'd done some stuff like throughout history. But for them to show it, man, like the way that they done it this episode, man, they took these people village, probably just to take the food and wine and probably whatever little money they had. And they kill these people. They kill everybody. That's kids included. They didn't show the kid getting killed, but he, in the process of them like taking over the village and the fire's been set and everything, they said that we can't let anybody live or escape, so they could tell what happened here. So then another dude with like super big ears that can hear like off in distances, which just seems, I mean, it could be real, but I mean, let's be real, it doesn't seem real. But he can hear far off, and there's two people with luggage and stuff on their back traveling and leaving, and dude just pops two arrows off like and kills them, man. Like they were leaving, they was off in the distance too, like it was night, they didn't have any light, they were just leaving. But we know that they killed the kids too, man. He said nobody could live to know what happened to tell anybody, so we know he had to kill the kids. And like, they just murdered everybody. Then they were already stealing from these people. You did not have to kill them. But I understood why, because they can't have people, knowing that they committed these atrocities and then they try to move on with their life. You can't, because then they'll be hunted. But I didn't even know if I wanted to talk about this, because it's serious, man. And I'm pretty sure you guys know exactly what moment I'm talking about. That's when we see the woman being drugged by her hair. We all knew exactly what was happening and what that moment was going to be. We knew exactly what it was. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We knew that she was. This episode, like that whole little segment right here, it got very, very dark, man. It got real dark. So then time passes, and it's all of the guys had got drunk completely and fell asleep. And Thorfinn makes his way into the village. And as they pan, as he's looking at all these other guys, we see the same woman, legs sticking out the edge of the barn, and the dude's just sitting right there. We see her legs sticking out, and they just laid there flat. We all know what happened, man. And for them to show that, I mean, it was nice, because they built we knew exactly what happened, and like they didn't show it, but like they showed her being pulled away, and then they showed her legs laying there lifeless after the fact. So you can leave it up to your imagination, but like in all actuality, we knew exactly what happened. And I mean, I knew Vikings done some stuff, man, but I did not expect them to show that in the anime itself. Now I knew it could have been done in the manga, but in the anime itself, for them to actually show that, that's major props. I mean, it's wrong, and like I don't want to promote anything like that by any means, but I'm surprised and shocked that they done that and put that scene inside. Anybody else would have just panned across it and kept it going. They wouldn't even shot that whole scene. But it builds to the effect of this group of bandits, that these guys, no matter how nice they try to portray them, because they have nice moments throughout this whole episode, like where they mistreated Thorfinn, then they treated him nice. They mistreated Thorfinn, then they treated him nice. But that scene, I'm assuming, they showed us that scene and them killing the villagers to show us that we can't normalize them, and we can't really just have any sympathy for them or kind of jump on their bandwagon throughout this series, because they may do some good stuff, but they've done a lot of horrible things, and we can't really be. They're no Frieza or Vegeta. But then we get Thorfinn sneaking into Askeladd's, I want to say Askeladd, well, the bandit captain, or the bandit leader, his little cabin room, and he was getting ready to kill him. And that's a moment that I loved, and that scene, that whole scene, I loved. It was perfect, and I felt like no one knows what this kid is going through, because I don't know, but they shot it so perfect with him struggling to kill him, because it's not easy taking a life. I've never killed no one, and I think that I'm thankful that I haven't had to do that. But it is very hard to take a life, and a lot of people can do it easily, but like it is very hard, and it weighs on you. And for them to show that emotion on Thorfinn when he was getting ready to kill him, and he was like, well, he couldn't really do it, was very nice. But then they also showed us that he wasn't asleep. He was just waiting for him to come in there. That whole little scene was very nice. They had some very wonderful moments throughout this whole episode, but then we get moments like what happened prior, and that kind of just ruins all of the great moments that they have for each of those characters. And then we see Thorfinn run off into the forest, and he's well, before that, he challenges dude to a duel the next morning, and let's be real, dude was gonna beat him and everything, and everybody they just kind of brushed him off, and they didn't really take him serious. Like, he's gonna challenge you to a duel. They didn't really take him serious. But then Thorfinn went off into the forest to have a nice little training montage. It wasn't like super fast, but it wasn't super slow either. It was like in between. And then we have the other member of the bandit group, probably the second in command, come out there and tell him, you're weak. And like he was like, you're still at it? You're still here? And Thorfinn was like, it's your fault that my father's dead. He was like, if you would have took me hostage. And he was like, your father was naive. And which I think at that moment, he was definitely right, because the moment that Thors knew that Thorfinn was on the boat, he should have asked Leif or somebody to take him back or anything or something, because there was no need for him to be on that ship, and him being on that ship is what caused him to get his father killed. But it's, at the same time, it's not his fault, because that dude didn't have to kill him. He chose to kill him. And then the dude tells him, you're weak. You can't do anything. So then we get to the training montage, which was very in between fast and slow. And Thorfinn learned some stuff. He went back to the village, and he was super hungry. Dude was like super hungry. His stomach was like rah, rah, rah. And the people, the bandits, they had ate some meat, and they left, and then they threw him the bones, and they had scraps of meat on it. And it was like, here, if you're hungry, take it. And he was like, he wanted to take it because he was hungry, but then he didn't. So it's like your pride, man. Your pride will make you do some foolish stuff, man. And yeah, it was scraps, and they had ate all of it and everything. But when you're gonna do what he does, and you're going through that type of situation, you take anything you can get. But what I loved is that he didn't take their scraps in the beginning, but then he came back and took it. But he was like, I refuse to keep eating their scraps. So then we get back to the forest, and a wolf comes. And the wolf comes and tries to, kill him and attack him and eat him. And he has a flashback about what the bandit leader said. And he puts down the long sword and draws his short sword. I can't talk. And just waits for the wolf to lunge at him. And when he does, he sticks him right in the throat. It was so nice. This dude is a survivor, man. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody else would have given up or just became like a slave to these people or anything. But dude was like, no, I'm going to be my own man, and I'm sticking to it, because I'm eventually going to kill him. So then, like, he kills the wolf. And I love the scene where they let the wolf kind of like slowly die. It was like, and the blood and everything just fell out of the mouth. It was very fantastic, and I enjoyed that, because they showed that this is a real moment. This is a real scene, because the stuff that happened in the forest and everything, and probably even what happened with the bandit leader, is stuff that could possibly happen in real life if you were put in that situation and you really wanted revenge and anger and stuff. So I loved all of that. But before I continue with the Thorfinn thing, because his whole saga that happened in this episode was absolutely fantastic, we get to one of the greatest moments I've seen in an anime in a long time, man. We get to Leif telling, I can't think of their names, Ylva and Helga, I think, something like that. I think it's Ylva and Helga, and telling them that Thors is dead. And the mom, you can tell she's super shocked, but then the daughter comes in and is like, well, that's fine. Well, I knew he wasn't going to live forever. And what was so great about it, and then they panned over and kept showing her trying to do anything she can to not think about her father being dead. And I love that they showed that, because in that moment you realize that it became real. I mean, I guess you could say, because Thorfinn dealt with his grief a certain way, which was to jump on the boat and run off and try to stay with these guys as long as he can, to try to kill the guys that killed his father. And the mother, it just hit her instantly. She didn't show it, but it hit her instantly. You could see it on her face. Like, she didn't cry or anything, but you could tell like the whole world just dropped from under her. And then we see the daughter kind of just get busy, like, to take her mind off it, not even think that he's dead. And then they show the whole scene where she's back at home, and she's like she's making like the blanket or carpet or whatever that is, and her mom says, "You can stop. It's dark. You're gonna make a mistake," and tears just start to flow down her face. That scene was absolutely beautiful, man. I don't care what anybody say. That was just one of the best scenes in this whole episode, because it showed that everybody deals with grief in their own way, and a lot of people try to like not really think about it, but when they do think about it, it just bum rushes them, and they showed that with the sister. It was absolutely fantastic, man. But then we get back to my boy Thorfinn, and we see him coming into his own. He's killing rabbits, he's hunting down stuff in the forest, and he does his own thing, man. So it was absolutely fantastic, and I enjoyed it. But and then he finally challenges dude again at the end of the episode, and the dude was like, he beat him up, but then he was like, well, if you wanna, you prove to me that you could do something. And he was like, well, you set out to do something. Well, I'm trying to figure out how he worded it. I can't remember. But anyway, he made a promise, and he was like, that I promise you I'm going to do it. And then when I do, we're going to have our duel. It was great. The whole episode was fantastic. This is your boy, The Incredible. Don't forget to smash that like button until you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. And remember that anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life, man. Peace out.